Welcome to This Explainer. You know, we constantly hear that you need money to make money, or that heavy, complicated regulations will just completely crush the little guy. But today, we are going to uncover exactly how to start a business with absolutely zero capital, even in a highly regulated society like Sweden. What we're looking at today blends some seriously inspiring human hustle with extremely practical step-by-step rules. We're going to see what happens when pure grit meets bureaucracy and how you can actually come out on top.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap. We'll be covering starting with zero capital, the market stall hustle, choosing your business form, rules of the food cart, and finally, succeeding in the trades. Let's dive in.
Section 1. Starting with zero capital. Section 2. The market stall hustle. Right, to really appreciate this journey, we need to contrast two totally different approaches to making a living. The traditional Swedish path usually involves a super predictable pipeline, right? You study, you become employable, and you get a secure job. But for a lot of immigrants, that path just feels kind of foreign. They carry this deep-rooted entrepreneurial tradition where you simply produce and sell directly to survive. And honestly, the ultimate way to do this without risking everything you own is the market stall hustle. That brings us to Tip. She moved to Sweden from Thailand and learned how to bake traditional Swedish pastries. We're talking Helena tarts and cinnamon scrolls, literally just by watching her mother-in-law. She took a massive leap of faith and opened her own pastry stall at the local outdoor market. And the most amazing part? Her initial investment was just 250 Swedish krona for ingredients. That's it. She sold out, made 500 krona, bought more ingredients, and just slowly compounded her success. But here is what's absolutely crucial to take away from Tip's experience. Her story beautifully captures how the market hustle isn't just about revenue. Like she points out, people chat a lot at markets. Standing behind that stall was her fast track to integrating into society and practicing Swedish with the locals. It was way more effective than sitting in a crowded classroom. It's basically community integration disguised as commerce.
So you might be wondering, when exactly does a fun little hobby become an official business in the eyes of the law? Well, the Swedish tax agency relies on three very specific criteria: autonomy, permanence, and profit motive. If you're operating independently, if you're doing it regularly rather than just a one-off thing, and your clear, undeniable goal is to make money, like, say, buying a massive supply of strawberries specifically to sell them for a profit, then congratulations, you've got a business activity and you must register for F-tax.
Now there is some pretty important wiggle room here. The key point is that if you're simply doing a cleanup of your apartment and selling your own private chattels, old books, ornaments, or furniture at a weekend market, you don't need to register a business. The catch? Your annual profit from doing this has to stay under a 50,000 Swedish krona limit.
But as your sales grow, those rules definitely tighten up. If your total sales hit this threshold of 178,000 krona, which represents 4 times the Swedish price base amount, the law mandates that you must use a registered certified cash register. Yep, no way around it, even if you're literally standing in an outdoor market stall selling vegetables. The authorities require a control unit that they can easily inspect.
Section 3. Choosing your business form. Okay, so when your hustle turns into a serious enterprise, you naturally take on more financial risk, which means you need to formalize your corporate structure. Let's meet Nuzad. Back in Iraq, Nuzad had a thriving electronics business. He wore smart suits, drove nice cars, but after fleeing to Sweden, he found it incredibly hard to just get a job. So what did he do? He leaned into his lifelong passion for cars. He started fixing them outdoors in a parking lot. He'd find broken-down cars for cheap, replace seized engines or worn-out gearboxes, and resell them. And eventually, he officially registered a formal used car dealership and repair workshop.
He didn't do it entirely on his own, though. Nuzad knew his strengths. He had a brilliant mind for business and pricing. But his brother Faraz, who had also moved to Sweden, was a master mechanic back in Baghdad. So they teamed up. He cleverly combined his own business acumen with his brother's mechanical skills. It really shows us that finding the exact right partner, whose skills perfectly complement yours, can literally be your greatest asset.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ready-made matrix of business forms you have to navigate when you're scaling up. A sole trader or a trading partnership is super cheap to start, just 900 krona, but you carry the full personal financial liability. On the flip side, a limited company, or aktiebolag, requires a higher registration fee and 50,000 krona in initial capital, but it acts as a shield for your personal assets.
Now pay close attention to this concept, joint and several liability, or solidaritetsdansvar. It basically means that if you're in a trading partnership and your partner buys a bunch of expensive machinery on credit, you are personally on the hook for that debt.
This definition is exactly why Newzad chose a limited company right out of the gate. With so much capital tied up in buying cars and parts, taking on personal liability could have put his family's personal finances at massive risk if a big customer suddenly defaulted.
Section 4. Rules of the food cart. Next up, we shift gears to the physically demanding, heavily regulated, but unbelievably popular world of mobile food vending and municipal permits. Meet Ali. Ali bought a totally empty wagon, hunted down secondhand equipment online, and built his own falafel business from scratch. But honestly, getting the wagon is the easy part. To score a prime location outside the university campus, Ali had to really navigate the municipality and local politicians. It actually took an advocate pointing out to the city that saying no to fast food wagons basically means accepting that these enterprising individuals will have to fall back on social services. Finally, he secured his spot. But Ali knows full well that securing the spot is just the beginning. His absolute dedication to cleanliness is really the cornerstone of his survival. He scrubs his floors every single day and changes his plastic gloves constantly. Why? Well, because a single mistake that causes a customer to become ill could permanently ruin his reputation and shut down his livelihood forever. There's literally no margin for error. Because of those stakes, fitting out a food cart is basically a masterclass in risk management. To pass the National Food Agency's strict, totally unannounced yearly inspections, you have to design your cart following these precise steps. You must prevent any cross-contamination. That means completely separate storage for raw meat and veggies. Your surfaces must be smooth and waterproof. You absolutely must have access to hand-washing facilities and a toilet. And crucially, all empty cartons and rubbish have to be stored completely outside the wagon. It's like a massive, high-stakes puzzle in a tiny space.
Section 5. Succeeding in the trades.
To succeed in the trades, you have to establish absolute trust and secure a really loyal customer base. And here we hit a massive hurdle that so many immigrants face: experience versus certification. Take Mohsen. He had years of practical plumbing experience back in Iran. The guy knew how to weld and solder perfectly. But in Sweden, he faced a super frustrating reality. To get hired locally, he had to go back and study for 2 full years, away from his family, just to get a piece of paper validating the skills he already fully possessed. Did Mohsen let that stop him? Absolutely not. He started his own firm by distributing flyers all over his suburb. He'd work plumbing jobs all day, and then go help his wife in her fast food stall until 10 p.m. He took emergency weekend call-outs. Once he literally left a birthday party and drove 220 kilometers just to fix a leaking pipe. And that, right there, is how you prove absolute reliability and build a successful business from absolutely nothing.
We see a really similar grit with Berhane. Berhane was an engineer in Eritrea. When he moved to Sweden, he started repairing bicycles in his kitchen. Then he upgraded to his apartment balcony and then down to his basement. He saved up all his profits without taking a single public loan and eventually opened a shop that is, for sure, likely Sweden's tidiest bicycle repair shop. We're talking gorgeous wooden features and just incredible organization.
But as Berhane points out, true craftsmanship is widely misunderstood. People tend to think fixing bikes is simple, but it actually takes at least a year to train a new repairer. Furthermore, building a sustainable customer base is a long, highly seasonal grind. You are constantly fighting against massive big chain stores. Your primary income isn't from selling parts. It's the specialized, complex repair work that those big box stores just can't offer.
And listen, in the trades, making a mistake is incredibly costly. While you technically don't need a formal education to start a carpentry or plumbing business, understanding Swedish industry guidelines is totally non-negotiable. If you build a bathroom and fail to follow the strict waterproofing standards and it results in a leak, you are going to face crushing damages, known as skadestånd. This kind of financial liability would easily wipe out a small micro business. So keeping up with industry directives isn't just a best practice, it is basic survival. So we've really seen what happens when incredible grit meets rigid regulation, haven't we? From Tip's amazing pastries to Ali's falafel and Mohsen's plumbing to Newzad's auto shop. Having seen all these practical frameworks in action, I want to leave you with this question. What unique skills do you possess that could be transformed into a thriving enterprise using these exact methods? It's tough, and the hours are insanely long, but as all these entrepreneurs have shown us, supporting yourself through your own sheer will is an incredibly beautiful thing. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.